Welcome back, Nintendo 64 fans. Today we have a special treat for you all. I'm not gonna lie, Bumble isn't the most well-known Nintendo 64 game, but let me tell you, it's a hidden gem. The game was developed by Argonaut Games in 1998, the same company that developed Star Fox on the Super Nintendo Entertainment System in 1993. There are quite a few similarities I noticed between the two games, especially Star Fox 64, although they didn't develop that one. I'll give you a little crossover later on in this episode. Also, just slightly off topic, I saw a petition to make Bumble the next Super Smash Bros. Character, and you bet I was all over that like a chicken on a June bug. I will be using obscure expressions I hear in my daily life going forward, because we can all use a little dad humor. So sit back, relax, and I'll tell you what the buzz is all about. Okay, so 99 times out of 100, I would let the intro roll right into the main screen along with the theme music. But I do have to give the lead musician some credit here. This song, composed by Justin Charvona, is a hit I wish they would play at the bar, on the radio, and everywhere for the world to hear. This dude put his heart and soul into this intro, and I will commend him every time I get the chance. 10 out of 10 just on this dance club music alone that goes so well with the game. That being said, cue the music.
What about now? It's time to rock with the biggity buck Bumble. What about now? It's time to rock with the biggity buck Bumble. Bum to the bump to the bump to the bass. Bum to the bump to the bumble. Bum to the bump to the bump to the bass. Bum to the bump to the bumble. Bum to the bump to the bump to the bass. Bum to the bump to the bumble. Bum to the bump to the bump to the bass. Bum to the bump to the bumble. Bump to the boot to the boot to the boot boot. Bump to the bass to the bass bass. Bump to the boot to the boot to the boot. Bump to the bass to the bass bass.
The plot of this game is set in England as a cautionary tale. Essentially, be sure to clean up polluted areas, otherwise the insects will mutate and try to take over the world. The evil herd is led by a mantis queen. However, we are lucky that Bumble is able to join the resistance and become a cyborg. Honestly, this intro really halfway tells the story, and it lacks about 80% of vital information, so it doesn't even halfway tell the story, it's mainly not even there. As with previous Nintendo 64 games I've reviewed, I would start with the training mode, as it has a good overview on what to expect from the main game. Missions all begin the same way, with what I assume is the dispatcher of the Resistance giving you instructions and objectives. This is where the game lacks in storytelling. You never actually see headquarters, or who even leads the Resistance. Is Bumble the head of the Resistance? I highly doubt it, considering we never come across who or what is giving us instructions. At the same time, it's kind of cool though. I do like a bit of mystery. The controls are pretty unique, as Bumble is always able to fly. Essentially, A makes you go faster, and use the joystick to control altitude. The open course is actually quite reflective of all of range mode in Star Fox 64. But fortunately here, you can come to a complete halt to explore the area. Here we press B to brake and find some nectar to restore some health. Heads up on these nectar droplets, they do not regenerate unless you die and have to start over, so use sparingly. The next area will explain the point system, and these are actually quite useless in my opinion. Sure, you can get an extra life if you reach 10k points, but as long as you save often, then these little seed things are completely skippable. Not worth my time, I got better things to do, I tell ya. You'll come across many doors throughout your missions, some requiring switches, some requiring keys, and some requiring you to destroy all enemies in the vicinity. Honestly, Buck could just fly over the wall to reach his destination, but again, our mysterious overlords won't let us. Here it gives you some targets to shoot in place of actual mutated insects. We'll be discussing weapons later, but use your laser gun that resembles a baby nasal aspirator to knock out the target so you can proceed. You'll know you've successfully opened the door whenever the large text in the middle of the screen scrolls "Herd Gate Open." Yellow doors are the easiest to open in my opinion. All you need to do is simply shoot the weak point on the power supply, which is signified by a glowing orb of electricity. This will cause the trail of wires to explode in a dramatic fashion and the door will be opened. Training complete, soldier. We are now ready for the main game. As we discussed in training, all missions are pretty much in line with each other. Just follow the instructions of our mysterious masters. The first mission is pretty clear cut. Just kill all enemies in the area. You have a small radar in the top center of your screen to help you a bit to find hostiles near you. You have free control to explore the area. As you can see in the bottom, there is a bonus for completing the levels quick, but I suggest ignoring that and using the time to find more weapons and health. As I said earlier, the extra life really isn't worth the hassle. Another cool little trick is double tapping R to barrel roll and change directions quickly. Really comes in handy on the last boss fight. The green portals are easy enough to understand. Just fly through them to teleport to another area of the map. Kind of a cool effect if you ask me. Then again, I'm easily amused by cyborg bumblebees being teleported. Here we finally run into our first enemies, zombie-like dragonflies. We also pick up our first actual non-crap weapon, the automatic blaster. Unfortunately, the guns you do pick up have limited ammo, so don't go hog wild with them on easy enemies. This automatic pistol isn't too bad. You'll come across a lot of ammunition for this, so be liberal in your usage. I'll be honest, I can't find much official information regarding weapon names and stats, so I'll be making my own nicknames for them based on how I use them. Use the automatic pistol to take down wasps. It's extremely effective, especially if you have horrible aim like myself and need to hold down the trigger until you eventually hit them. Enemies will sometimes drop more ammunition, so be sure to pick them up before you proceed. Here we can take out enemy Weevil tank units with our quote-unquote shotgun, but let's be real, this is more like an RPG. In either case, this weapon is pretty cool. I use it quite often to blast ground enemies from the sky. Just be sure to stay away from them once you shoot them, because they can explode and will do recoil damage. This grenade can pack a punch, but you don't see it too often. It actually is like a grenade and carpet bomb hybrid, useful on bulky targets. The stun gun is only used on one level to paralyze some sample targets to bring back to headquarters. After that, you lose it for good. This homing Tesla gun is my absolute favorite. It is the lazy man's dream. It's like the automatic pistol but locks on to the target. The cool sound it makes and the green hue the bullets emit is every cyborg bee's dream weapon. I highly suggest using this bad boy on wasps, especially when they continue to spawn out of the wasp nests. The laser gun has a big old chonky equivalent. Works a lot like the stock laser gun but actually does decent damage. It's especially useful on larger targets. The machine pistol that apparently shoots beans or some sort of seed is probably the most forgettable weapon in the game. You can burst with this weapon pretty well and also just hold Z to empty the gun, and whatever you hit, you hit. I'll use this gun sometimes for quick enemies, but other than that, it stays unused. The homing rocket launcher is pretty dank, but to be real, I came across maybe 6 of these bad boys in the entire game. Pretty simple concept. Get within range, fire, and boom goes the dynamite. The most abundant and luckily the most OP weapon in the game is the guided missile launcher. The concept is simple, but it can be a bit difficult to master. Just fire toward a target, then you can control the path of the missile for a few seconds. The main enemy these will be used on are the caterpillar-looking critters that come up from liquids. The game provides plenty of ammo pickups for this launcher, and it's quite fun to use once you master it. The final weapon is this big zappy boy. I still am not sure of the overall perk of this gun. It is absolutely atrocious dealing with big enemies, but it does provide a straight line of fire and can destroy enemies in its line of sight, as long as they're small. To take out this boss, I just switched to the OP guided missile, and good game. If you ever get confused on any mission, as I did with every single mission because I have the attention span of a goldfish, you can pause the game and go down to review the briefing. As I said before, there are different objectives you'll have. Kill enemies, and anytime I see a glowing orb on a switch, I shoot it. It's almost always necessary to do so. Once we hit the switch, we will have access to the next part of the mission, and you'll see this quite a bit. Carrying a bomb to a destination. This can get a little frustrating and tiresome. Not to mention Buck must have some ridiculous stamina in those wings. The biggest issue carrying a bomb is having it explode and killing you. Fortunately, being hit by missiles from enemies won't trigger this, but you have to be careful, as hitting a solid surface will cause the bomb to detonate, and you'll have to start the level from the beginning. Just fly a little slower and go through holes carefully, and you should be fine. That is, on the ones that aren't timed. Luckily, this first one is easy mode, and we can safely make our way to the objective and see the sweet satisfaction as the enemy base explodes. Unfortunately, sometimes there are time missions, and let me tell you, they are panic-inducing. On this particular level, you need to shoot the power supply units in order to disarm a nuclear missile that's about to launch. I actually had to attempt this mission several times as the wasps just slam into you and cause your aim to go haywire. Eventually, I was able to complete the mission and save the insect kingdom, at least for today. You know when you have completed a level when the UI goes blank and you hear a little fricka fricka DJ scratch. You'll then be teleported out of enemy territory. You'll be taken to a mission complete screen with a brilliant graphic of Buck being a badass. You like that alliteration? Here you can choose to save your game, which I suggest doing, because chances are you'll die a lot. There are some boss battles you'll encounter, like this one, where HQ claims that you were mistakenly teleported to this area, or a giant powerful enemy just happens to be. That's a bunch of horse hockey if you want my personal opinion. But nonetheless, we are here, so we may as well kick ass and chew bubblegum. The boss battles are essentially all range mode. Unfortunately, our Star Fox team isn't here to give us tips and help us. We can, however, just nuke down the boss by laying our ammo into him and watching his health bar drop. The boss battles aren't too bad in regards to their difficulty. They aren't necessarily the most fun either. They're just kinda there because they have to be. That is, until you get to the Mantis Queen. Oh boy, this is one tough son of a buck. See what I did there? I died so many times I was nearly in tears. Okay, so that's a bit dramatic, but there was a brief time I didn't think I would kill her, and insects would end up ruling over us. If there was any time for the Star Fox team to come help us, it would be now. So I edited this to see what would it be like if we had Peppy Hare's assistance.
This is Peppy. All systems go. It's quiet. Too quiet. This is the enemy's bioweapon? Never give up. Trust your instincts. He's quick. Be careful. Try hovering. Try a somersault. Do a barrel roll. To barrel roll, press Z or R twice. Shoot him down. We're being marked. The enemy's coming from behind. You've got an enemy on your tail.
Oh man, did I miss that it's good to be on a team. That's a critique I have. Where's my team? Are they just chilling back at HQ while I'm banging my head against the wall trying to down the evil herd queen so she doesn't take over the planet? Whatever. Buck does a 1B show and we've got this on our own. At least at the end of the sequence, HQ says you've done it instead of we've done it. Also, I love Buck's chill attitude as there are explosions behind him. Just a cherry on top and definitive proof he's a badass bee. And there you have it, folks. Thanks to Buck, the world is saved. I think the lesson we can learn here is that we really need only one bee for the survival of our planet, as long as they are programmed with cyborg tech and have a vague command structure guiding them. Well done all, here's another true piece of artwork for the hero of the day. We also have 2-player mode in this game. Overall, it's not too bad. We have 2 game mode options, Buck Battle and Buzzball. Again, more alliteration. Buck Battle is your typical one-on-one shoot 'em up. You can choose how many kills you need to win. I suggest 3 or 5. 10 can be a little tedious, especially in a 1 vs 1. There's only so much pleasure to be had in killing the same person continually. You can also set a match length so the other player can't cower in fear and hide till the game goes on forever. That honestly doesn't happen much from my experience. Usually 2 people try to kill each other ASAP. So unlimited it is. I'll be straight up with you guys. I am not sure what arena means. Is this the code for which arena you will play on? Then why does it have an option for same arena at the bottom? This is really the only part of the gameplay I have no explanation for, unfortunately, guys. The match will start. I assume one is Buck and the other player is Bumble. The mechanics work similar to 1-player mode. The objective is to lower your opponent's health to 0. It is cool to fly around and try to shoot each other, but eventually it ends up being a ground battle, shooting each other at point-blank range with garbage weapons. Also, like 1-player mode, if you are hit, it causes you to turn quite significantly, and can make your aim quite sloppy as seen here. Eventually, someone will come out victorious, claim their point, rinse and repeat. Our second mode is Buzzball, otherwise known as football or soccer here in the old USA. You can set the goals needed to win and the match length. If you are as bad as I am at this sport, then the lower the better. I actually tried this just playing by myself, and it's quite a lot of fun. If I had a friend to play with, it would be better, but beggars can't be choosers. The goal is simple. Again, more puns. Simply knock the ball into the opponent's goal to score. You can do this by using your body or by guns. You only have 2 weapon options on this mode. Either the crappy stock laser blaster or the cool RPG type weapon. I started out with the RPG, trying to make it into the goal, but man did I struggle, even without defense. I figured the reason I couldn't score is because this ball is the most knuckleball I've ever seen. How does this dodecahedron not have any spin to it whatsoever? In any case, I finally switched to the crappy laser blaster and found it much more useful. I figure it's finally found its place in this game. And there you have it, folks, the overview of Buck Bumble. Alrighty, folks, and there you have it, an overview of Buck Bumble on the Nintendo 64. Overall, this was a great game. Like previous reviews, I'm going to stick to the compliment sandwich on this review. A positive remark, a negative remark, and then another positive remark. Overall, the storyline, and I know this sounds negative. The storyline was definitely lacking, but I really enjoyed the concept behind it. I think an insect colony that's been infected by nuclear waste, and then a cyborg bee comes to save the day. I think that's a really unique concept. I'm glad it wasn't some rehashed content that some of the games use. This had its really own unique way of telling the story and throughout its gameplay. And philosophically, I like the idea of Buck Bumble. I can only expect that we have our own Buck Bumble out there every day saving us from mutated insect colonies. A negative review I would give this, and that negative portion, I would have to say is it is very impersonal. There's no voice acting, which isn't make or break. I know some of your classics don't, like Ocarina of Time, really don't have any voice acting, but this has really no allies. You don't know who's on your side. Like I said in the video, there's a lot of vagueness in who the command is and who recruited you to the resistance. There's just nothing really to signify who you can trust. Going back to the positives now, I think they did a fantastic job at developing this game. They did have a 2-player mode, which it's pretty fun. It can be, especially the is it Buzzball or Blitzball? One of the two. There's so many B's in this game. No pun intended. But anyways, yes, this game overall, I would recommend it. Lots of fun, lots of great weapons, especially for a Nintendo 64 game. Not as good as GoldenEye in terms of the weapon choice, but it's still very fun. It's cool to take down some mutated insects, playing against a cyborg bee. Overall, I really enjoyed it. I'm in the spirit now. I know it's Pac-Man, but a yellow shirt. Buck Bumble, just overall, an inspiring character. I would like to see him on Super Smash Bros. Someday. But other than that, overall, I would give this game, I was going to give it a 7.7, but I could tell, it seems like the developers really cared about this game. I do really like it. I'm going to bump it up to an 8.1. Overall, I'd recommend playing Buck Bumble at least once through a playthrough. It's pretty fun. Next game I'm going to review, it's actually not going to be a full game. It's going to be a game within a game content, but I'm going to review the full game later on. But this one's going to be kind of a full playthrough of a little subplot from the previous game. So stay tuned. Thank you all for joining me. Catch you next time. Peace out.